Next up is Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter films. This is Tom as a little child. And again, people who have difficulty recognizing the gender energy of someone's spirit may find this frustrating when I talk about this, but I do feel female energy here. And here as well. There is distinctly that lost dead FTM look here as well. The eyes are quite closely spaced. The nose is pretty small. The lips are about even in size. The mouth is not wide. The features are just small and even, closely spaced. Point to the chin. Soft curve to the jaw. Softness in the face. Barely anything here. Barely any development in the trachea or Adam's apple. There is a widow's peak. There's not much prominence to the brow ridge, to the cheekbones, to the jaw, a receding hairline, which often happens when people take testosterone. I mean, it happens on regular males sometimes too, and sometimes very young, but it is unusual. We do seem to be seeing it here. This just looks so much like a little girl. Very much like a girl. And again, the energy here in this one seems a lot kind of more gentle, inviting, soft, whereas in this one it's much more projected. Very different energy. And look at how sloped and small these shoulders look compared to the body. The whole body just expands outward from the smaller chest down to these wide hips. And FTMs often do put their hands in their pockets to disguise the width of the hips, because people will look and say, oh, their hips only look that wide because their hands are in their pockets, but clearly that's not what's going on here. Again, this strange look where it looks sort of like the lower part of the torso is just kind of being mushed upward, because on a natural male, everything would just be more evenly distributed. It does look like there's a bit of an Adonis belt. As I've said before, most FTMs do seem to develop them to a certain extent, or they have them contoured on or whatever. But look at how small the upper body is here. The upper body is the smaller part with less mass, and then it all expands outward into these wide hips. Looks like there's some curving going on in the lower part of the abdomen. Very soft looking female levels of subcutaneous body fat. And look at that! Definite pelvic tilt, curve to the abdomen, curving in the spine. And look at that again. Curving in the spine. It begins higher up, comes out farther. It's definite curve to the front of the body. Curvy hips. This is not a man. Again, we've got that look. The wide part is all down here, the mass is all down here, not up here. This one is taller. It looks kind of taller and leaner than Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint. There's three very distinctly different kind of backgrounds and body types. Daniel Radcliffe is the small brunette one, Rupert Grint is the stockier ginger one, and this one is the kind of taller, leaner blonde one. You know, there are different bloodlines that develop different kinds of looks. And but we do notice also the leg looks pretty female. The gradual curve. Usually males will have a thinner ankle, and that you'll see the calf muscle up higher, and then because of lower subcutaneous body fat levels, more of a thinness there, but on natural females, the curves are all gradual because of the fat levels being higher in females. Look at that. Look at how the hips curve out. Both sides, curvy hips. They equal the shoulders. I'm not sure who's next to them, but it looks like this person has the kind of MTF backside and body, the kind of square look to the posterior, and doing a catwalk to try and approximate female legs, female Q angle, but again, look at how small the upper torso is and how it expands outward to this wide point. These are wide female childbearing hips. They match the shoulder joints up here. It's definitely a female. Angling out the knees, angling out the feet, swaying of the hips, kind of skating around trying to make the Q angle less obvious. But look how big the hips are, the mass is all down here, and it's not just the baggy clothing either. They often wear this baggy clothing to try and disguise what's going on down there. But you can see that Q angle. When they forget for even a moment, you suddenly have that Q angle on the FTMs. This one is walking much more like a man, legs side by side. Legs look very straight on that one, but not on this one. Same thing here again. This one is the one that has the much squarer looking tubular torso with the straight legs, the male Q angle. And this one has the big hips that match the shoulder joints, even when blocking estrogen, female hormones, and the legs are stepping more one in front of the other. Legs come in from the hips down to the knee. It's the female acute Q angle. Again, angling out the knee and the toe. But look at that curve. It's a gradual curve all the way from the high point of the female waist, which is above the navel, curves all the way down, all the way to the knee. Those are gradual female curves. It's big, curvy female hips. Again, the natural waist is high and it gets filled in subjects who take testosterone and block estrogen. Their torsos will fill in, but you can still see the line of the body. Again, angling everything out. They know what they're doing. Looks like to a certain degree they also have that kind of awkward FTM tilt I've talked about before. It's because the female pelvis is tilted and the backside on females tends to stick out more than on males, and so it'll look kind of like the body is slanted, whereas on males they'll just kind of, from the shoulder, they'll just go straight down like a pole. Facial hair seems to be a bit challenged as well, and some men of the younger generation do have this problem. I've mentioned before, we have all kinds of chemical and hormonal interference in our environment. It makes a big difference, it does. Men of the younger generation often don't grow as much body hair or facial hair, often not as large Adam's apples, often they don't seem to grow as broad of hands, A lot of things are different with the youngest generation of men, and taking testosterone on a female can also enlarge the nose, can expand the lower part of the face, it can develop a brow ridge to a certain extent, it can help develop facial bones a little bit, it can help grow facial hair, but often on FTMs we just don't see the facial hair being as convincing as on biological males. The person with them seems to have more going on in the brow, a much stronger jaw than they do. Also more in the neck. Again, there's just that essential kind of curving look to the spine. Gradual curves to the legs. Receding hairline. Some of these things are evidence of female body structure and some are evidence of testosterone abuse. There we go again, that female pelvis, curved female spine, female looking legs, It's a leaner FTM than some, but looks to be an FTM indeed. There's softness around the face as well, more typical on females because females have higher subcutaneous body fat level. Roundness to the forehead. Again, the forehead shape and the skull shape, many features on it vary depending on the population, but in general, often females will have a shape more like this. Again, definite obvious curving to the spine. You can see up here, this is the high point where the waist is, where the spine changes direction. You can see right here, you can see curve to the abdomen. This is a female with a female pelvic tilt. Quite a massive brow, receding hairline. This one is taller than some, it's because of the ancestry. Small upper torso, the high waist, above the navel, softness around here, female subcutaneous fat levels, wide hips. It's just so obviously these are female hips. There you go, that spinal arch. Definite pelvic tilts. And on several FTMs, you can see here that this is where the kind of rib cage is, and right here you have the back muscle. With FTMs, if they build up the fat and then the back muscle here, by taking hormones and then just regular working out, it makes it look less pronounced of an arch, but the arch should begin right here, a little bit higher, and that's why on some FTMs it'll be tricky because of what they do with hormones and working out, but this obviously is the pelvic tilt and spinal arch of a female, this is not a male. Dental arch looks more female, gap between the nose and the mouth looks more female. Spacing of the eyes, spacing of all the features, shape of the chin and jaw. Just this is a female. So, another of the original Harry Potter child cast looks to be gender inverted. Tom Felton looks like he is a female to male transgender, and that's that.